Isaiah 5:6, we will experience times in our lives when we need God to set us free from painful or terrible situations. Hearing songs of deliverance and stories of how God delivers his people gives us hope that God will fulfill his promises to us too. In our conversation today, we're going to see how God delivered his people against all odds. Our scripture reading for today comes from the book of Exodus, chapter 14, verses 5 through 18. When word reached the king of Egypt that the Israelites had fled, Pharaoh and his officials changed their minds. "What have we done letting all those Israelite slaves get away?" they asked. So Pharaoh harnessed his chariot and called up his troops. He took with him 600 of Egypt's best chariots, along with the rest of the chariots of Egypt, each with its commander. The Lord hardened the heart of Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, so he chased after the people of Israel, who had left with fists raised in defiance. The Egyptians chased after them with all the forces of Pharaoh's army, all his horses and chariots, his charioteers, and his troops. The Egyptians caught up with the people of Israel as they were camped beside the shore near Pi-Hahiroth, across from Baal-Zephon. As Pharaoh approached, the people of Israel looked up and panicked when they saw the Egyptians overtaking them. They cried out to the Lord, and they said to Moses, "Why did you bring us here to die in the wilderness? Weren't there enough graves for us in Egypt? What have you done to us? Why did you make us leave Egypt? Didn't we tell you that this would happen while we were still in Egypt? We said, 'Leave us alone. Let us be slaves to the Egyptians. It's better to be a slave in Egypt than a corpse in the wilderness.'" But Moses told the people, "Don't be afraid. Just stand still and watch the Lord rescue you today. The Egyptians you see today will never be seen again. The Lord himself will fight for you. Just stay calm." Then the Lord said to Moses, "Why are you crying out to me? Tell the people to get moving. Pick up your staff and raise your hand over the sea. Divide the water so the Israelites can walk through the middle of the sea on dry ground. And I will harden the hearts of the Egyptians, and they will charge in after the Israelites. My great glory will be displayed through Pharaoh and his troops, his chariots and his charioteers. When my glory is displayed through them, all Egypt will see my glory and know that I am the Lord." Finally, the Israelites are freed from slavery in Egypt. They're on their way to the promised land, but the adventure is just getting started. There's more drama to unfold as the people journey to their new life. That brings me to my first point. Long trips can produce doubt. The journey from Egypt to the Promised Land wasn't supposed to take them very long, but it ended up taking them 40 years. Think about it. 40 years. I'm not even 40, so I would still be traveling in the wilderness. They faced their first challenge when Pharaoh's army came over them. It was natural for them to become afraid. So it was important that they remembered what God already said for renewed hope. That brings me to my next point. Remember what God has promised you. God knows that our natural response is to be afraid when we face opposition or obstacles, but He's promised to deliver us. In fact, Jesus even prayed in the Lord's Prayer in Matthew 6 that we would be delivered from evil. When we face fear, we can remember what God has promised us in Scripture. God will not abandon us, forget us, or leave us alone. When the Israelites were afraid, God provided a miracle by parting the Red Sea. When God delivers us, He gets all the glory, so others will know He is the Lord. That brings me to my next point, the Lord will fight for your deliverance and gain all the glory. One of the most incredible things about this passage is how it says that God even used the hardened hearts of the Egyptians through Pharaoh and his troops, his chariots and his charioteers, to bring him glory and to let people know he is God. Even though they were not working with God, he used them to fulfill his plans. So even today, we know this story and see God's deliverance for his people. We can't deliver ourselves. We just can't. God will fight for our deliverance. That brings me to my next point. When God delivers you, worship is the best response. The Israelites got it right here. God delivered them from their enemies and their fears, and then they turned around and gave God all the glory. They realized that they didn't deliver themselves, but God did it for them. They could see God's hand at work for them and praised him for it. That's all I got for today, 5-6. See you again soon.